Welcome back, Pickler. Today, we're doing another Pickle Tickle session.
勘違いしないでよね。今のは私が自分でしたいと思ったから。
それって俺からします。好きです。ずっと好きでした。
Wake up, Pickler. It's time to solo queue. Picture this. You decide to queue ranked, but you don't have any friends. Aww. That's okay. That's why we have matchmaking. And definitely not the reason why you're in the rank you're in. Anyways, you get into a match, then the randoms make the map ban go exceedingly well. How in the goddamn did we get theme park? Your teammates couldn't coordinate a map ban. Surely they can defend a bomb plant. Okay, this guy has Ver on a planted bomb. This should be... Holy f***, how did we lose that? Well, maybe defense will go better.
Oh my god!
At this point, you're probably gonna lose it. Oh my god. Why the fuck are my teammates not reflagging? If this has happened to you and makes you afraid of playing ranked, then you've come to the right video. While the scenario I presented may seem like something caused by random teammates otherwise out of your control, there is an element to this problematic scenario that not only gives you control of the problem, but gives you the means to avoid it 90% of the time. The element I'm talking about is strategizing. Now, it should go without saying that one of the main components to being successful in Siege is strategizing. There are so many useful gadgets and abilities in Siege that not using strategy will ultimately lead to your opponent gaining the upper hand. Although strategy is such a vital component to Siege's gameplay, most gamers don't actually use it effectively or at all. Basically, if you main or play the same operators every match in order to get mediocre results, then you are failing in strategizing. So now you're probably wondering, if my solo queue strat isn't a real strategy, then what is Mr. Pickle? Well, while I'm not solely focusing on gameplay strategy in this video, we still need to clarify and discern what strategy is composed of. First, let's paint a clear picture of the skill we're learning about in this video, which is strategizing. But for the sake of the video and simplicity, I'm going to break it down into two smaller skill subsets, those being game strategizing and mental strategizing, which is what I will mostly be teaching about. Now, I'm not going to treat this video like my others where we get into specific detail about the processes of these techniques. Instead, I'm going to be telling a story for each technique or principle that I discovered, with examples coming from real matches where you can see these principles are working and being applied. By the end of this video, you will have the thorough understanding and foundations of a strong mental fortress that will keep you strong through the worst toxic storms and nightmare matches Siege has to offer. The first concept that you need to flesh out more into your gameplay is communication. This is like the cannons that will defend your mental castle from incompetent randoms. The idea of communicating starts with who you're communicating to. And this depends on what your ranked playstyle is, whether you solo queue or if you play with your friends in a Discord server. Years ago, when I was a younger Pickle, I was the #1 sole proprietor of the solo queue. AKA, I really enjoyed playing solo. This was back before I was comfortable talking to people online, or in general, but I wanted to play ranked even when my friends weren't on. Long story short, after playing with random teammates for a while, I believed that solo queuing was pure RNG because my teammates and opponents' capability was random. So there were no reliable factors in my favor, which really killed my passion for solo queuing. I suffered this until the pain drove me to try an LFG Discord server. It was like playing a whole new game with teammates who have a voice. Eventually, I got comfortable being talkative to my teammates, and now I just yap on autopilot to my teammates whether I solo queue or stack with an LFG. I can speak from honest personal experience that as long as you're willing to talk with your team as much as possible, you will not only have more fun in Siege, which will save your mental, you will also win more matches. And I won't lie to you, solo queuing will always be a dice roll. Sometimes you'll have a match like this, where you have lots of communication through the game chat with your randoms, and then win the match.
That's true.
Or you will have a match where you're constantly giving callouts to support your team, but you just get teammates who rarely communicate and then you lose the match. Instead of leaving your ability to communicate to chance, I highly recommend taking control of this and using the official Siege LFG. They have LFG channels for casual, ranked, scrims, and custom matches. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to find a group of like-minded and ranked players who want to communicate and win with you. Like in this match that I played after I lost a solo queue match. I LFG'd a 5-stack, and even though we started out losing the match, we were able to coordinate effectively with comms and easily brought back the match and won the next 3 games. If randoms are making you hate solo queue, then please give LFG a try, and give your teammates the callouts they deserve, because chances are they want to win just as much as you do. I'll leave a link to the LFG Discord in the description below. Now that you can defend your mental fortress from invaders, we need a way to keep them and their devices from getting past the defenses. We do this by implementing the skill of Mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability of being focused on the present moment while engaging your environmental stimuli more stoically. It's the same feeling you get when you are locked in. You're only aware of the intense situation you are facing in-game, and everything else outside of that seemingly phases out of reality. Now, you've probably experienced this in a match you've played, but what if I told you it's possible to obtain this state all the time and on demand? We can do this by training our minds to easily enter a flow state. I unknowingly began to practice entering a flow state in 2022 when I began to go hard on self-improvement. I was meditating daily and began to find myself being distracted by brain rot less often. At first, this benefit didn't seem all that crazy to me. I was able to stop doom scrolling YouTube shorts sooner, but it seemed like that was all. That was until I noticed something one day as I was gaming. I was playing a free-for-all match when all of a sudden the match that I seemingly just queued into was over, and on top of that, I won the match. This was surreal to me because there was hardly ever a match where I was unaware of an imminent victory. I brushed it off, blaming it as a weird circumstance.
Must have been the wind.
But then it kept happening. I was locked in each match I played, taking bag after bag. Then it clicked for me. What I felt while I was gaming was the exact same focus I felt when I was meditating. To this day, I don't need to decide when it's time to lock in. I enter the flow state before I even realize it. And let me tell you, I'm still blown away by the results sometimes. So if you want to start being able to automatically lock in while you game, I recommend starting with practicing meditation. Practicing meditation is a very simple process. All you need is a quiet room and a timer. Then set your clock to 13 minutes and focus on your breathing with your eyes closed until said timer runs out. I get a lot more in depth behind the process and benefits of mindfulness in the video showing in the top right corner right now. So without going too much more in depth, we are practicing meditating in order to practice being in a flow state, while mindfully blocking distraction, in order to win more matches and protect our mental state from negative or game-losing thoughts. So if you are unable to consistently lock in, or if you find yourself distracted during your matches, then I highly recommend giving meditating a try. It really doesn't take much time for your day, and I promise you'll see benefits in other areas in your life outside of gaming. On top of this, it's been proven in studies that meditation increases your focus intensity and ability to quickly focus, which to me sounds like an insanely useful ability in all areas of life. So get out there and start locking the fuck in, picklers. While our walls work well at keeping out negative distractions, we still need an extra layer of defense. That's why it's important to stay calm and collected while gaming. Doing this creates a moat around our castle that stops our own emotions from attacking our mental. And if you've ever raged while gaming, then you're plenty aware of how quickly emotions can get the upper hand. A few years ago when I mostly played Destiny 2, I had very little awareness or control of my emotions. And I was raging quite often at bad teammates, dying, or any little thing that pissed me off. Anytime I raged, it always led to me logging off the game pretty shortly after raging, because playing more after my emotions won only made my mentality and desire to game worse. Now, hopping to when I started meditating, I found myself noticing more when and why I would start to rage. I realized that sometimes I was able to manually override the desire to get mad, which then allowed me to stay calm and win some of those matches. This solidified my belief that raging, no matter the game, will only take away from your gaming experience and cause you to underperform. Learning to remain calm and indifferent to your emotions is a crucial habit in the long run of your mental fortress. And the process of building this habit starts with being aware of what emotions you feel when you're gaming. When you begin to understand what sends you spiraling into rage, it becomes easier to prevent the spiral. Meditating also helps in the habitualization process, because you begin to process your thoughts and feelings with less instinctive reaction. Overriding impulsive actions from emotions is key to maintaining the integrity of your mental. The next time you're bored in queue, try meditating for the time before your match. You might discover a positive effect in your match and build a positive long-term habit for yourself. At the end of this clip I've been showing you, I nearly clutched this round but then ended up trading with the last person in the 1v1, which really made me want to lose my shit, but because I kept my cool, we managed to win the match. At this point, your mental fortress has plenty of physical barriers to prevent attacks from invaders. But there's one more factor we haven't considered yet. What if the attack doesn't come from outside the castle, but starts from within? What if the men in the castle begin to fight each other from within? In this case, the castle would surely fall, but what I'm referring to is the infectious negative emotions principle, or Ein principle. This idea states that when one person begins to become openly toxic or demoralized, then these emotions quickly spread to their comrades' minds. There's a very rational explanation for this occurrence when we look through the lens of evolutionary psychology. As social creatures, we naturally empathize with a teammate's negative emotions, especially after a setback, and we can be influenced by their mindset. This evolved trait helps us band together to overcome challenges. However, some players internalize the problem as personal and isolate or blame others as a way to cope with perceived threats. This is unfortunately common in Siege, and I want to share this exact scenario I had that turned into a story of pure motivation. In one of my recent matches on Cafe, our team was feeling rejuvenated after a close 3-4 loss in a previous game. But as the rounds ticked by, two teammates started blaming external factors, letting frustration take over as we fell to 0-3. By then, they were convinced it was a lost cause. However, one teammate refused to give in. At match point, he boldly declared that we'd come back from 0-3. Even though I didn't fully believe it myself. His relentless optimism was contagious. He carried us through incredible odds, winning a 3v5 and even a 1v5 round, lifting our spirits each time. He never wavered, even into overtime, as his persistence turned the tide. Against all odds, we secured the win. Meanwhile, the two teammates who'd given up early were still hung up on their frustrations. Okay, cool story, but now it's time to break down the process my virtuous teammate used to stay motivated. First, we must recognize that negative emotions are normal to feel, and that negative emotions after setbacks are natural, but instead of dwelling on them, it's healthier to accept them as a reaction to an unfortunate event and let them go. After all, we can't control what happens, but we can control our response. Practicing mindfulness aids in this process by helping us recognize that negative emotions only serve as distractions, and it also helps us to realize that persisting in negative thoughts only reinforces the idea of losing. Instead, it's better to view setbacks as learning opportunities and then stay focused on winning. When we approach challenges with a team mindset instead of a selfish one, we reduce stress and prevent negativity from spreading, increasing our odds of winning the match. Now, I want you to ask yourself an honest question. Would you rather give in to frustration and lose, or overcome the feeling of frustration and then win the match? The answer should be a no-brainer unless you like losing. Well done, Pickler. Now you should have an impenetrable mental like a steel trap. As long as you put these into practice, you should be able to avoid most headaches that come with playing this game. Now that your fortress is complete, I think it's time to wrap things up. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I put a ton of hours into these videos, like a lot, and it would absolutely mean the world to me if you showed this video some love by leaving a like. Or feel free to give some love to Papa Pickle and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth gaming content. I'm going to be working on a Siege lore video next, so if that idea tickles your pickle, then make sure to stay tuned to the channel. I also want to mention real quick that I do Siege coaching for all kinds of players. I'm not the most mechanically skilled player, but I'm positive we could fix you up and send you on your way to champ if you're interested. Or if you want to chat in the barracks of the Pickle Army, my Discord server is linked in the description. Alright Picklers, it's been a long one editing this, so I'm going to go get some rest. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see the Pickle Army in the next video. Peace, Picklers!